Hey YouTube, this is Primetime Pokemon. In this video, I'll be doing some Pokemon TCG online gameplay. I'll be battling with a Blacephalon GX Naganadel deck. Now this exact deck placed both 2nd and 5th at the Harrogate Regional Championships over in England. Right now in the standard format, Blacephalon GX is seeing lots of success. So now I'll head on over to the Pokemon TCG online, give the general strategy for the deck, as well as share the deck checklist, and then get into battling. Here's a look at the deck checklist on the online TCG. General strategy for this deck is to use Blacephalon GX as the primary attacker. Mind Blown can do 50 damage times the number of fire energy you move from your Pokemon to the Lost Zone. You can accelerate energy fairly easily in this deck. The main method of doing so would be to use charging up on Naganadel. And then of course you can use Ultra Space to quickly set up Poipole into Naganadel. There is one copy of Alolan Muck in this deck. This is solely for its ability, which turns off the abilities of basic Pokemon, so it may ruin your opponent's strategy. Of course, Beast Ring is essential in this deck. When your opponent gets either 3 or 4 prize cards remaining, you want to get as many energy into play as possible with Beast Ring. Something a little bit different about this deck, 2 copies of Energy Switch. You can accelerate energy to Naganadel and then move 1 energy to Blacephalon, and then be able to attack with Mind Blown that much quicker. As far as the energy cards go in this deck, 15 fire energy and then 1 beast energy, and this card is very good, especially combined with Blacephalon GX, to take out the weaker Pokemon out there without having to move so many energy to the Lost Zone. Let's head on over to Versus now and see what's out there. I have had some pretty good luck in the past with Blacephalon GX. So 2nd place and 5th place. Now this deck does struggle against decks that are based around 1 prize Pokemon. Things like Lost March, for example. Lots of Zoroark GX decks out there. Not sure what this one would be yet. Not the greatest starting hand, but I could Mysterious Treasure for the Tapu Lele GX and go and get Lily. Ultra Space, like I mentioned, very useful. Oranguru, so my opponent doesn't have a very good start. Would like to get 3 battles done in this video. We'll see how it goes. This may be a Metal Acceleration type deck, and they're just going to scoop already. So there's 1 win. That happens sometime. Sometimes that can happen. Let's go for a 2nd match here. And maybe they're just testing a certain deck out and they didn't get the hand they wanted. Just trying to mess with the numbers in the deck a little bit. I was considering putting Kiawe into this Blacephalon GX deck. This could either be a Shrine of Punishment deck or a Decidueye GX Zoroark GX deck. I like facing Decidueye GX because that Pokemon is weak to Fire type Pokemon, so you can Guzma Decidueye GX from the bench and then just knock it out pretty easily. Mulligan turn 1, I am going first, so I can get Blacephalon out there. Get that Beast Energy out there as well. Hopefully my opponent does not have an Enhanced Hammer. I may have to try and use Marshadow to limit the size of my opponent's hand. And this is a deck I am not a fan of at all. Essentially, this is a stall deck. They're probably going to use Ancient Crystal. So they probably do have an Enhanced Hammer, but I'm going to attach that anyways. I am going to use Marshadow this turn, I think. Let's get a Fire Energy into the discard. Let's go and get a Poipole. Do I have the Ditto Prism Star? I do, because it may be useful against this deck. So there's a Poipole. I can go and get another Poipole. Get 2 fire energy in the discard. I could also Lily here, so I'm going to get the Tapu Lele Lily is what I'm going to do. Lily for 6, and then I can Marshadow Let Loose. One Lily may be prized. So I am going to use Lily. I don't think the choice bands will be of much use against this deck, so I will attach 1 to Blacephalon just to get a better chance of getting cards I want when I draw. Is there anything else I can really do? I could go and get the Ditto Prism Star. I might try and do that, but I think I'm going to hold off. So I am going to Marshadow Let Loose, hopefully set back my opponent. Yes, that is fine. Would like to draw into an Ultra Space. Didn't get that. I could put another Blacephalon GX down. I'm going to hold off on that just because my opponent may try to use Guzma and put something in the active Pokemon spot that I do not want. So let's pass to my opponent and see what they do. Here's a better look at the Regigigas. Essentially, it's out there to stall. My opponent is probably using several Acerola. So there is the Plumeria already discarding the special energy. There's a Cynthia. I'm going to put 1 energy there and then just use Cynthia. I can take a prize card with Burst GX. That's what I'm going to do. There's a Heat Factory. There is an Ultra Space. I'll use the Ultra Space to get a Naganadel set up. Accelerate an energy into play. If I had that energy switch, I could move it to the Blacephalon GX. And personally, I'm not a fan of decks like the Regigigas deck. When I try and battle someone, I want to actually win the game by getting all 6 prize cards, not by just frustrating my opponent and not letting them do anything. So all I can do now is I'm going to use Burst GX, would like to get a Fire Energy, and then I can accelerate it into play. Energy Switch, that one hurts a little bit. I essentially need 4 energy cards to knock out a Regigigas. And that is the problem with this Blacephalon GX deck, is that if you're facing lots of Pokemon like Regigigas, it's going to take 24 Fire Energy cards to get all 6 prize cards. In this case, 20, because I've already taken 1 prize card. I could use Heat Factory. I'm going to go and get a Poipole here. I'm going to put an energy there, and then I'm going to use Charging Up. And my opponent is never going to actually attack, so I can't even use my Beast Ring. So this just may be a learning experience for the viewers here. I'm personally not a fan of this deck at all. I am going to keep that Ultra Space out there for now, and I'm going to knock out a Regigigas. Mind Blown, move 4 to the Lost Zone. It hurt with that Beast Energy being discarded. I can't get that back. If I would have been able to attack with that, I would have had to discard 3 Fire Energy instead of 4. No energy cards left in the discard. Do have an energy switch in hand. I would sure love for my opponent to knock out the Blacephalon. And there is the Ancient Crystal. That reduces the amount of damage by 30 to Regigigas here. Let's get another Naganadel set up. Now, I could use Heat Factory. I think I am going to do that. And then I can get an energy to the discard. So there's a Sophocles if I'd like to use, a Guzma. So I'll use Charging Up. Right now I could do 150 if I get another energy into the discard, which it is possible. But I won't be able to knock out the Regigigas. My opponent has 3 cards in their hand. One is probably Acerola. All that Naganadel can do would be 80 damage, so essentially I could try and get 3 energy on here and Guzma. That may be what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go and get something else here. Get rid of these Sophocles. And then what can I go and get? I'll get another Blacephalon just to start getting that set up. Now I can attach from hand and use Energy Switch. The reason I'm trying to attack with Naganadel is that the energy cards are not moved when you perform that attack, so it really doesn't matter which one I go onto there. I'm going to move the energy from here to here, and then Guzma up the Regigigas without the Ancient Crystal. Even if I had 3 prize cards remaining, this could only do 160. It still wouldn't knock out the Regigigas. So my opponent either needs a Max Potion or an Acerola in hand. There's a Steven's Resolve. They're just going to end their turn, and they're going to get an Acerola, I'm sure. Or a Max Potion. Either would work just fine. What do they have in the discard? Not much. Lucamine just allows you to reuse same cards over and over again. So there is a Sophocles. Is there any way that I could actually knock out the Regigigas right here? I would need to do 100 damage. I have used both Energy Switch. I discarded the one with Burst GX. Well, I might as well use Lily. Not much there. I'm going to attach 1 energy to the Blacephalon, and then I'm just going to attack here, Turning Point. Almost knock it out, but I'm sure my opponent will be able to remove that damage, like I said. I'm just going to have to attach to Blacephalon, retreat the Naganadel, there's the Max Potion, and then just move 4 energy to the Lost Zone again. 15 fire energy, so essentially I can get 3 Regigigas knocked out. So I am going to attach here and then probably just attack with the Naganadel 1 more time. That way, if my opponent doesn't use a Max Potion, I don't have to discard as many energy cards. I only have to discard 2 instead of, actually be 3 now because they have that Ancient Crystal on Regigigas. So it forces my opponent to use a trainer card a turn early. And they're just going to end their turn, so I can knock out this Regigigas. I would need to do 160 damage, so that's another 4 energy cards. So I think I am going to just use Turning Point again. If I had Guzma, that wouldn't do anything else because Ancient Crystal over here. Let's put an energy on the Naganadel. I could use Sophocles. I'm just going to hold tight. And I am going to use Turning Point 1 more time. So now I would still need 3 energy cards to the Lost Zone. There's the Acerola. It may be worth it to just scoop here and move on to the next game. I only can do so much. No field blowers or anything. How many Regigigas have they used? So there's 3 out there. They probably have 4 in the deck. I could just knock out this one. I would still need, what, 5 energy cards discarded. That's almost all the energy in play. I'm going to do it just to push my opponent. Maybe they cannot get to another Regigigas. I'm sure they can, though, with Steven's Resolve. So I'm going to charge up here. 5 energy. That 30 reduction really makes a big difference. So let's put an energy there. It really doesn't matter. And that's really all that I can do. If I hadn't used the Marshadow, that would have been nice. 5 energy I'll get rid of now. So all of the energy, I could either do these 5 or like this and then start attacking with the Naganadel. I'm going to do that. Go like that. 5. So sad. There's no way, of course, to get anything back from the Lost Zone. Now I do have 3 prize cards remaining, so this is the perfect time to start attacking with Turning Point on Naganadel. It can do 160. What does this do now? So it increases the retreat cost of both active Pokemon. That's fine. I'm trying for Guzma. I have 3 Guzma in the deck. I've only used 1. I guess I can always... Oh, there is the Guzma right there. Unfortunately, I do not have another energy in hand. So actually, I might just use Sophocles here, get a couple more cards, and then maybe attack with Blacephalon. So get rid of both Mysterious Treasures. I'm not going to need those. There's plenty of energy, so I could attach here, and I am going to. And then I'm going to just start doing a little bit of damage, Bursting Burn. Would like to soften that Regigigas up a little bit. If they would have stayed burned, I would have been able to knock out Regigigas next turn with Naganadel. Now my opponent is removing an energy from Blacephalon. That doesn't hurt much. I can just accelerate it back into play, right like so. So I am going to continue to soften up the Regigigas. Do the same thing here, hoping that the burn stays for more than one turn. There we go. So they're going to have to use Acerola if anything. There's not an Ancient Crystal on the bench one. There's a Hoopa, so I am going to have to attack with the Naganadel. No big deal. 120 for the HP on Hoopa. I'm going to knock that Pokemon out right away. So an Ancient Crystal there. What I want to do is I wanted to be able to knock out the Hoopa. I'm not going to be able to do that here. I would actually need 3 energy cards to knock out the Hoopa. Of course, I can't knock it out with Blacephalon GX. Here I would need 4 energy cards. And I have 15 fire energy in the deck. I have 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I only have 1 left. So I'm going to want to attack with the Naganadel. I can knock out the Hoopa right here, and I am going to do that. So I'm going to go like this, retreat, and then I can just use charging up. Oh boy, and that is a problem as well. I can't retreat because of Mount Lanakila. I do not have any stadium cards in hand to get rid of that. Let's do Bursting Burn here. It doesn't work, of course. Just setting up for next turn, hopefully. Five and 9, so 1 more basic fire energy. Not even sure if I have it in deck or if I've prized it. So essentially I really need the Ultra Space. 2 Ultra Space in the deck. I've only used 1. Not much I can do here Still didn't get the energy that I needed to retreat, so I'm going to Guzma up this Regigigas and put out the Naganadel. It does 160, but I could then retreat the Naganadel for the Blacephalon and start softening it up. I don't think I'm going to do that, however, so I am going to just use Turning Point. 160, make my opponent waste an Acerola or a Max Potion. If only I had Judge in my deck, it would hurt my opponent severely. So they're using Acerola now. I would not put out the Hoopa, but maybe they just want to have it knocked out. Now they're going to just switch the Hoopa with Blacephalon. And now I'm in some trouble. How many Guzma here? 2. I'm going to have to Cynthia and hope to draw into a Guzma and the Fire Energy. Yes, that's fine. If I don't, I'm probably going to Scoop. Did not draw into anything. I don't even know if I have a Fire Energy in my deck. I have 10 cards left. I'll give it one more turn, then I'm just going to have to Scoop. I gave it my best shot, I would say. I remember when, I believe it was just purely a Sylveon GX deck, won a regional championship. Just not a fan of that style of play. So there's Lucamine and Acerola. They can reuse those cards again. There's an Ultra Ball. I am going to use Ultra Ball and discard 2. Now, the Beast Rings are essentially useless. My opponent's never going to knock out any one of my Pokemon. It may have made sense to get that Alolan Muck set up. Do I have a Guzma and a Fire Energy? I do. It doesn't make any sense to actually get anything into my hand. I'll just get the Ditto Prism Star because that'll give me a better chance next turn to either top deck a Fire Energy like I was hoping for or a Guzma. Only 8 cards left in my deck as well, so I may run out of cards and my opponent would win the game. They're going to look at their face-down prize cards again. So let's see. Another Ultra Ball. I would have to discard 2 for 1. I don't have any Pokemon left. Let's see if Ultra Space is actually in my deck. It is not. So I'm really going to end up losing the game here, running out of cards. I only have 7 cards left in my deck. I'll run out of cards pretty quickly here. My opponent is just going to continue to pass, recycling those supporter cards again. Personally, I would never build a deck like the Regigigas Hoopa. That's why I get such a huge satisfaction about beating decks like this. Still didn't draw into the Fire Energy. Did get the Guzma. Only 3 cards left in the deck, however. So I would need to knock out Pokemon pretty much every turn. I'll end up just losing the game, running out of cards in my deck. No big deal. Just gave it my best shot. That's all I can really do. And that is definitely the glaring weakness with Blacephalon GX. Just, it requires so many energy cards to knock out Pokemon like Regigigas, and then only get 1 prized card. Really defeats this deck. So now I do have the opportunity to knock out Regigigas. I could do that, and that is my last Guzma, so I'm just going to do that. Put out the Naganadel. I wasn't able to actually knock it out. That's fine. I don't want to lose the energy there. Either way, I'm going to lose the game. I could have knocked out the Regigigas right there. Went down to 2 prize cards. And then I would have ran out of energy anyways. I wouldn't have been able to attack. There's a Guzma. That's pretty much game. They're putting out the Blacephalon with no energy. There's no way for me to retreat it. And of course, there is the Fire Energy, Bursting Burn, nothing. And they just want me to lose the game. I'll go done. That's fine. Well played. Let's move on to something a little bit more exciting. So there is a defeat. Let's play another one here. I'm almost to the third tier of the versus rewards. This may be a little bit longer video, depending on what type of matchup we get here. Fighting Psychic Colorless. Let's go tails again. Did win the coin flip and a victory, so that is 2-1 in this video. I can't say that I've earned either of those two victories. So 2-1. What do we have here? Water Colorless Psychic Darkness. I believe that is what it was. Darkness is usually Zoroark GX. Water could be for the Alolan Vulpix. Bad start for both of us. There's a Blacephalon and a Fire Energy. Move the Blacephalon to the active. Be able to put the Poipole down and then probably use Sophocles. Get rid of a Fire Energy and Guzma. I really want to hold on to those Beast Rings. They come in handy for sure. So this looks to be Zoroark GX for sure. Not sure what they're going to evolve Eevee into. So Choice Band will be useful in this deck. I will attach after I use Sophocles. So let's do 1 and the Guzma. Go down to 2 Guzma. There's a Cynthia. I could Lily with Wonder Tag on Tapu Lele. But of course, just use that supporter in Sophocles. So I could get another. Let's actually get rid of the Tapu Lele. And then I'm going to go and get another Poipole. Attach the Fire Energy to Blacephalon. Cynthia I have for next turn. Leave the Choice Band in hand, just in case they have a Field Blower. So there's a Lily, only for 4 cards, turn 1. Must not have had much else in their hand. 2 Zoro out there now. I'm not really a fan of Zoroark GX either. Strategy with any Zoroark GX deck is to use trade, the ability on that card, discard 1, draw 2. Essentially, you're going through all of the cards in your deck to get the exact card that you need. My opponent may have had a very bad draw with Lily, not attaching an energy or anything. They're double colorless. I don't know why they would do that. I could knock out Eevee if I get a Fire Energy on Blacephalon. They're using Quick Draw. What does that do? Nothing. Lets you draw a card. So I should be able to actually get a Fire Energy off of Cynthia. Would like to get Ultra Space as well. So there is a Ditto. Is that going to make a difference at all? They're probably using the same Pokemon over there. So there's one Naganadel. I can accelerate an energy into play. That helps. That way I can attack next turn with this move as well. Mind Blown. I could put the Ditto Prism Star down. I might as well. And then I can attach an energy here and knock out the Eevee. Mind Blown. 1 and 1. That is where the Beast Energy comes in hand. I would have only had to discard 1 energy instead of 2 if I'd had the Beast Energy attached. Ultra Space, that's very useful. I can evolve either the Ditto Prism Star or the Poipole next turn. So Zoroa here, if they do get Zoroark GX out there plus a double colorless energy, can only do 120 with a full bench. There was an enhanced hammer. And they also discarded the Alolan Muck. They went to get Zoroark GX. I'm sure they'll be using trade. Only 4 cards in their hand. 2 Zoroark set up now, so they'll be using 2 trade abilities. They do have a Alolan Muck, so I'm going to evolve the Ditto Prism Star into Naganadel. I don't want the low HP of 40 sitting out there. Do they have a double colorless in hand? There's the Field Blower, so that's what I was talking about. I really didn't want to attach the Choice Band. I still attached it too early. Right now, Zoroark can do 80 damage, Riotous Beating, 20 damage for each of my opponent's Pokemon in play. You can add Choice Band and Professor Kukui and then a Stadium card, and it will do 180 damage per turn and actually knock out Blacephalon. That's really another reason I'm not a huge fan of Zoroark GX. Normally, it takes 2 attacks to knock out GX Pokemon with Zoroark. Of course, I picked up several of the Zoroark GX special collection boxes for that Full Art Black Star promo, this one right here. So they may be trying to lock down my abilities, which doesn't really make much sense because Glaceon GX, I believe that is the card, the ability on it turns off the abilities of GX Pokemon when Glaceon is in the active Pokemon spot. So what I can do here is I'll get another Naganadel into play. How many do I have left? 2. I have 3 total in the deck, so I'll just evolve the Ditto Prism Star. Ooh boy, and I can't do it because they have Alolan Muck out there. That hurts, but I can do this one. Then I can attach an energy here, and I can either do 100 damage. I'm actually going to use Burst GX and just take a prized card. My opponent only has 2 cards in their hand. They'll probably trade twice, but I'm feeling confident that I will not get knocked out this next turn. And if I do have 1 Beast Ring in hand. Would like to get a Fire Energy here, accelerate it to one of my Pokemon. Oh boy, that's about the worst prize card I could have turned over there. Potentially, I could get 8 Fire Energy into play when my opponent has 4 prize cards remaining. I would need 5 energy to knock out the Zoroark GX. That is why I like the Beast Energy so well. My opponent can't utilize Beast Ring or anything. No Ultra Beasts in their deck. That Eevee they're putting down is pretty much useless. Energy Evolution can't be used because of Alolan Muck being out there. That is a great card to use against the Ditto Prism Star as well. Ditto is one of my favorite Pokemon, even going back to, what is it, Fossil. I really like the holo card in that set. Fossil and Jungle really had the best looking holofoil cards in my opinion. 1 double colorless in the discard so far. They're probably using 4. Here's a look at the Glaceon GX. Spreads damage around with Frost Bullet. And if you can't knock out Glaceon in 1 turn, probably not a good idea to attack. So I still can't do anything there. I'll see what's in my deck. I'll get another Poipole out there. I already have a Blacephalon on my bench. Marshadow can't be used. All I can do here is 150. And then I would get rid of all the energy in play. So I'm going to Bursting Burn and Confuse just to soften up Zoroark GX. Hopefully it stays burned. 20 damage per time. Unfortunately, did not. But if it does try to attack and it flips a Tails, it does 30 damage to itself. Right now, Zoroark can do 120 with Riotous Beating. They would have to get rid of a Stadium card, put that one out there. Choice Band, Professor Kukui. And they may just try and Guzma up something and knock it out with the Glaceon. They're going to just attack with Frost Bullet, I would think. And unfortunately, Blacephalon is weak to Water-type Pokemon, so it will be knocked out. I should be able to knock out Glaceon this coming turn, since I have a Beast Ring in hand. Would like to draw into another one, however. Plus I can use charging up to get these 2 fire energy into play again. So not terrible if I do get knocked out here. 30 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. I'd go after the Ditto and just knock it out pretty quickly. They're going after a Naganadel. So let's put up the Blacephalon. They should know that I have a Beast Ring. Go down to 2 prize cards. Hopefully I top deck a supporter. Just an energy card. That hurts a little bit. How many Beast Ring do I have? 2. I prize the one that I moved to the discard pile already. Okay, so I can attach 1 here. I might as well get another Naganadel out there. Just like so. How many energy here? I can get a ton of energy into play. And my opponent really can't knock out Blacephalon next turn either, unless they hit that combination with Zoroark GX. So I may be able to use another Beast Ring, potentially. So I would need 4 energy cards. I'll discard all of the energy on Naganadel. So there's 1, 2, whoop, and they just scooped. So that is a good feeling there. Let's go for one more battle here. So they just scooped. They knew once I knocked out the Glaceon that they were in some trouble. Was able to get that Silvally GX, Crimson Invasion. Now I'm on to the 3rd tier of the Versus Rewards. Lost Thunder booster packs would be nice. Let's do one more. Doing very well other than against that stall deck, and I'm not a fan of that deck whatsoever. This may be a Decidueye GX, Zoroark GX. Lossy coin flip, not good. Especially in stage 2 decks like the one I'm probably facing. Let's see, do I put out the Marshadow or do I put out the Tapu Lele? Probably the Tapu Lele and then let loose hoping for a supporter. That's probably the riskier thing to do. I'll just go like that. Just to guarantee myself a supporter. Not a good start though, having to put out both Marshadow and Tapu Lele GX, but as you can see, this is for sure a Zoroark GX deck. I would assume a Decidueye GX deck too. Feather Arrow, the ability on Decidueye GX, can do 20 damage to one of my Pokemon from the bench. So there's a Lily. My opponent may be able to get rid of a few different cards in their hand. I would think so. Ultra Ball is a good way. Probably going to get either a Rowlet or a Zorua. Some decks like this do use the Professor Elm's Lecture. So 6 cards with Lily, a good start, plus they get that double colorless energy on Zorua. There's a Tapu Koko, that spreads some damage around. There's a Poipole I can put out there. Unfortunately, it really isn't going to make sense to go and get Lily. Cynthia is probably the better bet right now. So there's a Heat Factory, that is useful. Ultra Ball, does it make any sense to get a Alolan Muck out there? I don't think so. They've already used a Tapu Lele. Probably going to have to put a Fire Energy on Marshadow, or I could use Guzma. I think that is what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to use Heat Factory and get rid of the Fire Energy. I can get that back with Naganadel anyways. Now I can get another Poipole out there if I'd like. I can go and get Blacephalon as well. So let's get another Poipole out there. And then I'm going to go and get a Blacephalon with Ultra Ball. I'm going to have to discard the Guzma and the Cynthia. That is probably what I'm going to have to do, which is a bit disappointing. wanted to save the Guzma to get Marshadow out of the active, but maybe it'll just get knocked out. That'd actually be better. That is all I can do. Hopefully the Marshadow does get knocked out. Right now, Riotous Beating can do 80 damage. It would knock out Marshadow. I can then promote the Blacephalon GX, for example. They must have 2 Zoroark GX in hand. I don't know why they would evolve the benched one. They're going to get rid of the Heat Factory. That's alright. I'm going to be able to Lily for 6 this coming turn. Surprisingly, they have not put any Rowlet out there yet. Maybe they're avoiding that strategy just because they know Blacephalon can easily knock out Decidueye GX. All it takes is 3 energy cards. Or if you have a Choice Band and Beast Energy, 2 energy cards is all. Riotous Beating, knock out the Marshadow, that's fine. Oh, and they're going to Guzma up a Poipole, I would think, and knock it out. Yep, that's what they're going to do. That is actually the better strategy. Knock out something that is more important to me. Now, I might as well put this up there. Get 1 Naganadel set up. And then I'm going to use Lily. That way I'll have Cynthia for next turn. I might try to just confuse and burn Zoroark GX. So I did get 1 Fire Energy there, and I am going to use Heat Factory. Set up for next turn if Blacephalon is knocked out. Unfortunately, Choice Band doesn't do anything right now because I'm not going to attack Zoroark GX with an actual move. Would like to get another Poipole on the bench. Really don't have anything that I want to discard. So I am going to either just take a prize card, which I could, but I want to prevent Zoroark GX from attacking, potentially. Plus it softens it up so that I don't have to discard as many energy with Blacephalon GX, mind blown. Right now, I would guess I'm going to lose the game. What is this here? It is Golisopod. So it is a Zoroark GX Golisopod GX deck. That's a little bit different. Haven't seen that deck lately. Pretty much any GX card can be paired with Zoroark GX just because the trade ability is so good. And you can use Zoroark GX as an attacker. I'm sure my opponent will try to attack with Zoroark GX. It does 30 damage if it gets a tails when flipping a coin. Next turn, I could get 4 energy in play. I still couldn't knock out the Zoroark. I would have to get the Choice Band on Blacephalon. And then I could knock it out. I'd still have to discard 4 energy unless I was to get the Beast Energy. There's a Tapu Lele, so they do have a second Tapu Lele. It may have made sense to actually get a Alolan Muck out there. I would think they're going to go for Cynthia here, refresh their hand. Or Acerola. I guess they could go for Acerola if they have it. And then just attack with the benched Zoroark GX. Or use Flying Flip on Tapu Koko. They're searching. Maybe they've prized the Acerola. Or they're just figuring out what cards they have left in deck. There is the Acerola. And then they'll just evolve their benched Zoroa as well. So then they have 2 Zoroark GX back in play. And they are going to put out the Tapu Koko. I guess they can just retreat that Tapu Koko if they'd like. What are they going to try and do? Are they going to use Flying Flip or Riotous Beating? They are going to use Flying Flip. And they are going to try and get a Golisopod set up. So there's an Ultra Space if I'd like. How many energy cards have I used? There's 2, 3, 4. I should have plenty of energy left, so let me use Heat Factory just to see what I get. There's another Poipole. I'll use Charging Up. And then I am going to put the Choice Band on and Cynthia. Let's see, does it make sense to Cynthia right here? I could knock out the Tapu Koko fairly easily. What they're doing is they're softening up my Pokemon so that 120 damage will knock out a GX Pokemon in one attack. I could use Energy Switch, that doesn't make much sense. I'll hold off on the Ultra Space. I may want to actually get that out there right now if I use Cynthia. I'll hold off on that. Let's see. Is the Beast Energy in deck? Yes, it is. The risk would be that I do not get any Beast Ring set up. So let me just attach an energy here, and then I am going to use Burst GX and let Tapu Koko soften my Pokemon up again. There's a Naganadel, that one hurts. Only 3 Naganadel in the deck. So that's fine, Flying Flip, and it's probably going to bite me that I'm softening up all of my own Pokemon, but we'll see. It just depends on what my opponent wants to do. It hurt starting with that Marshadow not being able to retreat it. I know my opponent doesn't want to knock out the Blacephalon, giving me Beast Ring, quickly getting some energy into play. I don't have another Blacephalon GX out there, however. They're going to try and get the Glycopod GX set up. They have 1 in the discard there. First impression is the attack to use 120 for only 1 energy. My opponent is taking their time. They're really taking their time, it seems like. Probably figuring out the math to what they can do. So they did use Flying Flip again. Now, what can I do? Let's see what's in Ultra Space here. I'll get the Naganadel. I would have liked... Actually, let's do it the other way. Let's get the Blacephalon, then I'll use Mysterious Treasure to go and get a Naganadel. So there's that. I'll Mysterious Treasure away the Sophocles, or the Ultra Ball. Probably the Ultra Ball. And then get the Naganadel. And then I do have the Energy Switch, and I'm going to use that just to save the Beast Ring in hand. Cynthia might get rid of those Beast Ring. So I'll go like that and go like that, and then move the energy off of this Naganadel to the Blacephalon. Still would need 3 to knock out Tapu Koko. And my opponent would need either a Choice Band or a Kukui to knock out Blacephalon GX. So let's use Energy Switch. Move this one to Blacephalon. And then Mind Blown, 3 energy. 1, 2, and 3. Let's do it like that. Go down to 4 prize cards. There's a Fire Energy. Would have liked to have turned that over with Burst GX. So do they have a Choice Band or a Kukui to knock out Blacephalon? They must have more than one Golisopod in their hand if they're discarding one. Maybe they have Rescue Stretcher. They're trading such a large hand, and they still don't have what they want. They could use something like Counter Catcher and bring up a Naganadel, for example. They would still need 10 more damage in addition to the 120 with Riotous Beating to knock out even the bench Tapu Lele. Maybe they have another Tapu Lele GX in their deck. What are they going for here with Ultra Ball? Another Tapu Lele. So going back, I should have set up that Alolan Muck, but you never know. What are they going to do? Cynthia, potentially. I would think either Cynthia or Guzma. Acerola wouldn't have made any sense. Lily wouldn't have made any sense. What are they going to bring up? They're going to bring up Naganadel, get rid of the 2 energy cards. That one hurt a little bit. And they're going to get rid of the Ultra Space and the Choice Band. That was definitely a smart move. Now I can only do 150, but I do have the Beast Ring, so I should be good to go. Could have actually moved this Blacephalon out there, which would have been the better option. So let's Beast Ring, get the 2 energy cards on the active for sure. Get 2 energy on the Blacephalon. This one. Get 1 energy on Naganadel, and then I will Cynthia. So there's the Beast energy that would have been nice. I'll use Charging Up. Did not get another Beast Ring, which I have 2 more of. So, Energy Switch doesn't do anything. Ultra Ball won't do anything. I have used all of the Charging Up, just the 1 that I can, so I'm going to discard 4, not 5 now because of the Choice Band. So 4, 2, 3, and 4. Go down to 2 prize cards, so Turning Point, I'll miss out on that. So I think that should be good. This is going to be a close game. It just depends on if I can get an attack off here. Beast Energy plus Guzma is a good sign, plus the Energy Switch. Right now, if Blacephalon isn't knocked out, I can do 200 damage for sure next turn, 230. So I think this is game here. Even if they knock out the Blacephalon, I can attach the Beast Energy from hand, or just attach a Fire Energy, use Charging Up once. So either way, I'll be able to do 200 damage. I would need that Choice Band. I have 2 in the deck only. Have I used all 2 already? Just 1. So potentially I could draw into that with Lily. If I reduce the size of my hand, I should be able to with Ultra Ball. So now they'll be able to knock out the Blacephalon. I only need to do 170 for damage. I have Guzma in hand, so this is pretty much game. I just have to promote something other than the Blacephalon with 2 energy on it. So this is a good way to end the video with a victory, an actual victory, not a scoop or a quick match or anything like that. Not exactly sure why they're putting energy on Wimpod there. They're trading. If they remove energy, I'm in some trouble. But again, that 170 HP is pretty low for Tapu Lele. So let's promote the Marshadow. They probably know it's coming already. And in this case, I just want to attach a Fire Energy because I'm going to discard it. So let's Guzma up the Tapu Lele. Any of them is fine. Put this one out there. They're probably going to scoop. I want to try and get as many energy as possible out there. Can do 200 damage. Right now it can do 150. Here would be 200, and that is game. Yep, and they did scoop. So a pretty good video overall. You can see how good this deck is, other than against stall decks, and then it does struggle with one prize attackers. Lost March, for example. It does struggle against something like Malamar Giratina if you can't start attacking with Naganadel. So there's a look at the Blacephalon GX Naganadel deck, the deck that placed both 2nd and 5th at the Harrogate Regional Championships over in England and Europe there. Here's a good look at the deck checklist again. And if you have suggestions for me on decks you would like me to battle with on the online TCG, feel free to comment on the comment section of this video with your suggestion. So thanks everyone for watching. As always, before you go, make sure to check out all the links in the description of this video, including links to my blog, Facebook, and Twitter pages. So thanks everyone for watching, and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you.